Scritchy Scratchy is one of those games that looks simple at first glance. After all, you're basically just scratching lottery tickets. But let me tell you what happens after a few hours. You find yourself managing risk, deciding which scratch cards are worth keeping in the cycle, knowing exactly when to trigger a prestige, and building progression strategies that make the money absolutely explode. So today, I've put together 10 advanced tips that will help you stop scratching in the dark and start building a real jackpot machine. I'm Mary, and the video starts right now. The table fan is one of those items that seems simple at first glance, but hides a layer of strategy that many people completely ignore. Its basic function is straightforward. You use the fan to blow piles of tickets directly into the scratch bot, visibly speeding up the processing. And when you activate this for the first time, it feels great. The bot starts working at a pace that seems impossible to match manually. The problem is that this speed has a limit that the game doesn't explain clearly. The scratch bot can only process a specific amount of tickets at a time, and if you overfeed it with the fan, you start creating a bottleneck. The prize sequence stalls, the processing jams, and what should have been an efficiency boost becomes an obstacle in the middle of your run. It's frustrating because it happens exactly when you think you're playing well. The key is to use the fan in controlled bursts instead of letting it blow nonstop. Observe the bot's rhythm, see how many tickets it can process before a queue starts to build, and calibrate your fan use accordingly. It's not about blowing as much as possible, it's about blowing the right amount at the right time. Reading this rhythm is what separates efficient use from use that sabotages your own run. When you get this balance right, the table fan becomes one of the most valuable items you can have active. Processing speed increases significantly without compromising the prize sequence, and you start extracting much more from every bot cycle. So don't abandon the fan because of one bad experience. Adjust how you use it, and the difference will be immediate. One of the most underrated skills you can develop in Scritchy Scratchy is learning when not to scratch. The peeking technique is exactly that. Instead of going all in on a risky card, you scratch just a tiny sliver of the edge of each symbol. You don't need to reveal everything, just enough to get a sense of what's hidden underneath. And here is why this matters so much. Cards like the Lucky Cat and Apple Tree seem harmless at first, but they are some of the most treacherous traps in the entire catalog. If you peek at the edge of a Lucky Cat symbol and spot the tip of a black cat's ear, you already know what's coming. The same goes for the Apple Tree. If you see the tail of a worm poking out from under that apple, it's over. Don't think twice. Throw that card in the trash immediately. This split-second decision is what separates a run that survives into the advanced catalogs from one that is destroyed by something completely avoidable. The penalty on these cards is heavy enough that no reward is worth the risk once you know the symbol is bad. You aren't being a coward, you're being efficient. From Catalog 2 onwards, peeking becomes almost a natural reflex if you practice. The game starts throwing these risk cards at you much more frequently, and you need every advantage you can get. Do this on every card, not just the suspicious ones. Those few extra seconds will save your run more times than you can count. If you haven't mastered the Snake Eyes card yet, pay attention because this tip will completely change how you handle it. Everyone starting Scritchy Scratchy makes the same mistake I did, scratching the entire die at once and only discovering the one when it's already too late. But there is a much smarter way to read these dice before committing to the card. The technique is simple and devastatingly effective. Scratch only the corners of the die symbol, nothing else. The reason is geometric. The number 1 has a single centered dot, which means the surrounding corners are completely empty. If you scratch a corner and find nothing there, it's a 1. You can be sure of it. There's no need to confirm by scratching the rest. And this detail makes all the difference because the Snake Eyes penalty is one of the most painful in the game. You lose progress that took several turns to build because of a single bad die. So, when the corners are empty, don't hesitate. toss the card in the trash without looking back. That feeling of, well, maybe it isn't, will destroy you more often than you imagine. With a little practice, you'll start reading dice in less than 2 seconds. It's almost like developing a sixth sense for the card. Numbers like 4, 5, and 6 have dots scattered in the corners, so if you see a dot there, you can keep scratching with more confidence. But an empty corner? End of story. Discard immediately and move on. If you're at the beginning of the game and don't know which upgrade to invest in first, the answer is simple. Scratch luck. No debate. It's tempting to spend your first resources on more expensive cards or flashier upgrades, but that's a classic mistake that significantly delays your progress. The early game has its own logic, and ignoring Scratch Luck is working against that logic. What Scratch Luck does is drastically increase the chance of jackpots on the cheapest cards in the catalog, and this is more powerful than it seems at first. Cheap cards are exactly the type of card you'll be scratching dozens of times at the start. So every small percentage increase in jackpot chance multiplies very quickly into real capital over the course of a run. Think of it this way. You don't need a single expensive, risky card to accumulate money. You need volume, and Scratch Luck transforms those modest cards into small income-generating machines. Before investing in this, every jackpot feels like a rare, lucky event. Afterward, they start appearing with a frequency that makes a concrete difference in the pace of your progression. The practical result is that you reach the next catalog much faster and with more resources than any other initial upgrade strategy allows. Other upgrades have their value, but none of them deliver a return as immediate as Scratch Luck at the start of the game. Prioritize it once, and you'll understand why this is one of the first things experienced players do in every new run. One thing Scritchy Scratchy does differently from most incremental games is turning defeat into part of the strategy. When you die for the first time, the natural reaction is frustration, but once you understand the final chance system, you start seeing the reset not as a failure, but as one of the most important tools the game offers. The final chance card is the game's prestige mechanism, and as soon as it's available for purchase, you should use it. It resets your round, but in exchange, it gives you Jack Points, or JP, which are the game's permanent progression currency. With enough JP, you unlock superior card catalogs that simply didn't exist before. It's a real power jump, not just a cosmetic one. The mistake many people make is rushing this process. Using the final chance too early before extracting as much as possible from the current round means leaving valuable JP on the table. Every card scratched and every jackpot accumulated before the reset contributes to the total JP you receive. A well-utilized round before prestige can be the difference between unlocking a mediocre catalog or a truly powerful one. So the ideal balance is this. Don't be afraid to die and don't run away from the reset, but also don't activate the final chance at the first opportunity just because it's available. Exhaust what the round has to offer, accumulate the maximum JP you can, and then reset. Each well-executed cycle puts you in a considerably better position than the last, and that's exactly how Scritchy Scratchy's progression was designed to work. Scritchy Scratchy has the potential to be different, but only if you set up the right configuration. And when this setup truly clicks, the game stops demanding your attention and starts working for you in a way few players ever experience. The combination is this: Subscription Bot, Mundo, and Scratchbot working together at the same time. Each of these elements solves a piece of the puzzle. The Scratchbot automates the scratching, the Subscription Bot ensures a constant flow of cards, and Mundo expands the scale of it all without imposing an accumulation ceiling. Without that limit, the economy of the game begins to stack up while you are completely AFK, with zero intervention on your part. What takes this combo to another level is adding the Picky Eater into the equation. With it activated alongside the other three, the system starts automatically filtering out bad cards and focusing on real gains. This is the moment the setup stops being just automatic and becomes a literal money printing machine. You come back after a few hours and the accumulated progress is absurd compared to anything you could achieve playing manually. The only thing to watch for is that this setup takes time to build because each piece needs to be unlocked at different stages of progression. But once you have all 4 elements available, stop everything and assemble this combo before anything else. It is literally the point where Scritchy Scratchy turns into a true idle game, and there's no going back once you experience what this setup is capable of. The Scratchy Bot is one of the most powerful tools, but there's a mistake players make all the time, putting absolutely everything on the bot and letting it decide the fate of the run. It seems convenient, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Total automation without criteria isn't efficiency, it's an accident waiting to happen. The real problem is that certain high-risk cards, especially those carrying severe penalties like worms and black cats, need your human eye on them. This is exactly where the peeking technique comes back into play. The bot doesn't peek, it scratches everything at once without hesitation, and when it hits a bad symbol that you would have discarded in 2 seconds, the entire run pays the price. A single bot error on the wrong card can undo hours of progress. The right approach is to create a clear division of labor. Constant profit cards, those that are predictable and have no heavy penalties, go straight to the bot without question. They were made for automation. High-risk cards, however, stay in your manual queue, where you apply peeking and make a decision based on real information before committing. This separation might seem like extra work at first, but in practice, it takes only seconds and protects everything you've built. This combination of manual filtering and smart automation is pure meta in the current state of the game. It's not about playing faster or slower, it's about playing more surgically. The players who get the furthest in Scritchy Scratchy aren't the ones who automate everything or do everything by hand. They're the ones who know exactly where each approach should be applied. And now you know too. There's a part of Scritchy Scratchy that I spent hours ignoring without realizing how much I was leaving on the table. The night market is an entire system dedicated to customization and upgrades that transforms how you play in the late game, and it works with a currency almost everyone underestimates: achievement tokens. These tokens come naturally as you complete achievements during your runs, but the classic mistake is not knowing where to spend them. The night market is exactly where they belong. There, you'll find upgrades for coin strength and size that directly impact the efficiency of manual scratching, especially on complex cards that require precision. A larger, stronger coin in your hand completely changes how you perform peeking and how you deal with symbols that are difficult to partially reveal. What makes this even more interesting is that night market upgrades have a cumulative effect. You might not feel a dramatic difference from the first upgrade, but after 2 or 3, manual scratching starts to feel more fluid, more controlled, and faster. Cards that previously required several careful movements begin to respond better, and this has a real impact on your chances of identifying dangers before making an irreversible mistake. Gadget cosmetics are also available there, and while they look purely visual, some carry small functional bonuses that stay active all the time. In the late game, where every detail of efficiency counts, ignoring the night market is essentially playing with one hand tied behind your back. Spend your achievement tokens intentionally, prioritize coin strength and size upgrades first, and you'll notice the difference before the end of your next run. Scritchy Scratchy has a loan system that looks like an easy way out when you're stuck in a tough moment of a run, but the reality is that it's full of traps for anyone who doesn't know exactly when to use it. The interest rates are brutal, and on top of that, the game applies random negative effects to your debt. Taking a loan at the wrong time won't save you, it will sink you faster than any penalty card ever could. The only situation where a loan actually makes sense is when you are literally one step away from buying a critical automation upgrade and don't have enough capital to close the deal. And when I say one step, I mean it literally. If the upgrade you need costs $1,000 and you have $900, the loan can be justified. If you're halfway there, it isn't. The difference between these two scenarios is the difference between a calculated risk and a costly mistake. The reason this logic works is simple. Automation upgrades generate continuous and immediate returns. An activated Scratch bot or an improvement to the subscription bot starts recouping the invested value in minutes, which means the loan interest is absorbed by the new income stream before it causes real damage. The loan stops being debt and becomes an investment with a very short-term return. Outside of this specific window, resist the temptation. The game is designed to make the loan look attractive at various points, especially when you're frustrated with the pace of progress. But the discipline to only trigger this resource at the right moment is what keeps your run healthy in the long term. Use the loan as a surgical tool, not a crutch, and it will be one of the best allies you have in the game. After a few runs, you start to notice that the game has a layer of reward that goes beyond standard jackpots. The super jackpot, the one with the blue star, is a rare event that can be triggered right after a normal jackpot. But the chance is small enough that most players treat it as pure luck. And that is exactly where they are wrong. The super jackpot isn't completely random. It responds to your game state. When your win streak is high, the window to trigger this event opens more favorably. The problem is that many people use multipliers and luck bonuses scattered throughout the entire run with no criteria, and reach those high streak moments with nothing left in reserve. You went all in at the wrong time and ran out of ammo when you needed it most. The right strategy is to save these resources with intention. Don't use your multiplier on just any card because it's available. Don't activate luck bonuses at the start of the run when your streak is still low. Wait for the win streak to climb, feel the rhythm of the game, and then stack everything together. Active multiplier, high luck, and a high streak all at once is the combination that pushes the super jackpot probability into territory where it actually starts appearing. This is a strategy that players with several prestiges under their belt know well, because it's only after a few cycles that you begin to understand the right timing to hold on to resources. At first, it feels counterintuitive to hold a bonus when you could be using it right now. But when that super jackpot appears in a well-timed sequence and delivers that absurd return, you'll understand why it's worth every second of waiting. The blue star isn't luck, it's the result of preparation.